Hello, scholars. Good morning, good afternoon, or whatever we're doing. Welcome back to our Read Aloud. This book is called Our House is on Fire, and it's by one of my favorite authors in the world. Her name is Jeanette Winter, and she does many different biographies about different people. And this is also a nonfiction book. So this will be our third nonfiction read aloud book that we've read during digital learning and just in general. And this is also a very different style. So Jeanette Winter doesn't even use photographs either. She kind of does her own way of using art. And I want you to kind of think about how this is different from the other books that we've read, even though it's nonfiction, and how she uses her art in her books as well. So this is called Our House is on Fire, Greta Thunberg's Call to Save the Planet. And even on the front cover, I'm already noticing a lot of other kids here. They're holding signs. So I wonder what that's going to be about. Let's just get a better view here. Our house is on fire. You are never too small to make a difference. Greta Thunberg. So this is supposed to be Greta. Greta is a quiet girl who led a quiet life in the city of Stockholm, that is in Sweden. Her dog Roxy was her friend. All my life, I've been invisible. So all her life, she's been invisible. I wonder why she would say something like that. I wonder if that's a feeling or why she would say something. Why would she say that she's invisible? The invisible girl in the back who doesn't say anything. In school, she felt alone. So here I see Jeanette Winter use like collages. These are pieces of paper. And it shows that like all the other kids are really close to the front, but she's in the back. Like not really close to anyone. In school, she felt alone. Then one day, Greta's teacher talked to the class about the climate, about how our planet is getting warmer, about how the polar ice is melting, and about how animals' lives are threatened, and ours too. Similarly, your teachers have also been talking to you about the same thing. So Greta learned about global warming and polar ice caps melting also in school. That's when Greta's life changed. She read for hours and watched film after film about our warming world. So she's doing even more research about this just by herself. Greta could think about one thing for a long, long time. She saw ice melting into the sea, disappearing, which we saw some photos in Seymour Simon's book also with the ice melting. She saw mighty winds and torrential rains howling across the land. So that's the extreme weather we were talking about. She saw coral reefs deep down in the sea, pale as ghosts, bleached by the warming waters. This is also a similar picture that we saw. Greta saw living creatures everywhere, struggling to stay alive. We talked about the butterflies, the penguins, the polar bears, right? Many animals are struggling to stay alive. Greta saw floodwaters covering houses and people and animals. She saw cities swallowed under rising oceans. She saw the smoldering sun scorch the earth, leaving it bone dry. So I'm seeing she feels really sad about this and maybe shocked or scared. I can tell from her face how she's feeling. And I see even the dog looks like he's kind of shocked. She saw blazing wildfires racing through the forests, which I talked about we also saw in Australia very recently. Our house is on fire. So these words were very big, and it's the title of the book. And then you can have a look at how Jeanette Winter, how she drew Greta, right? You can tell how she's feeling in this picture. Greta became sad, thinking about the climate all the time. She barely ate or spoke. Those pictures were stuck in my mind. So that's something that she said. The sad days went on for a long time, each day more unhappy than the next. There might not be a world to live in when she grows up. What use is school without a future? What can I do? She wondered. So here you can see she's still thinking about the fires, the deserts, the ice melting, all of the storms. She's thinking, what can I do? Right? She's just a kid. Greta decided to go on strike from school for the climate. She's making a sign. Her parents understood. That says strike for climate. Remember, she's from Sweden, so she didn't write it in English. Greta skipped school one Friday and took her poster, School Strike for Climate, to the Parliament building to sit on strike. She hoped lawmakers would see her. People walked past, too busy to notice. Greta was invisible there too. She was at the Parliament building every Friday, even in the rain. Then, word of her strike began to spread. Little by little, other school strikers joined her. On Fridays, Stockholm schools were a bit empty. So now more people are joining, even if it's snowing. They want lawmakers to see. More people started noticing the child strikers, and word spread through cyberspace about the Friday school strikes. So I'm seeing in many different languages, that means all around the world, people are like chatting on their phones or looking at social media about what's happening. Children started striking everywhere. If grown-ups won't act to save the planet, children will. So here Jeanette Winter uses this picture to show everywhere in the world, different kids are saying, we're not going to go to school until people try to make the climate better for us. The quiet girl who always felt invisible was asked to speak to very important people at the United Nations climate talks in Poland. Greta only spoke when she thought it was necessary. You say you love your children above all else, and yet you are stealing their future in front of their very eyes. We need to keep the fossil fuels in the ground. So she's talking about her solutions here. This is kind of like what she's thinking in her mind, and then she's giving this speech to all these important people. The quiet girl was invited to speak to important people at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. It was necessary to speak. She's saying, I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. I want you to act as if the house was on fire, because it is. I wonder what house she's talking about. So she's talking to everybody. She wants them to feel scared because the house is on fire. What could the house be? Is it like everyone's house is going to actually catch on fire? Let's think. Greta's protest, all alone, sparked a worldwide children's march. Her quiet voice, joined by thousands of voices, became a roar. So thousands of people joined her. Can you hear us? A lot of people made these. Science, not silence. Don't burn my future. Help me, and it's the earth. Global warming is not healthy. Keep oil in the ground. Raise your voice, not the sea level. Kids need clean air. Love your mother. Coal kills. Save our earth. Stop climate crime. Don't be a fossil fool. It's our future. So thousands of people made these signs to show people what's important. What will you do? So Greta's a very interesting figure. She's still very young and she's saying, our house is on fire. So, what does she mean by that? We will see.